Hello. Why did we ever believe that we are this body mind that we see every day in the mirror? A belief is no more than a thought that we think over and over and over again. And when we listen to our own thoughts, we notice that the mind is interpreting, is dialoguing absolutely everything that we experience. And it dialogues in the first person. It's saying, I am going for a walk. I am doing this. I am thinking. I am hurting. I am confused. I am hungry. And this I, this repetition of the belief of the mind has us believing that we are actually this tool that we were given to navigate the physical world with. When I say physical world, that's kind of in exclamation marks because it depends on our level of awareness as to how physical this world actually appears. But nevertheless, while we believe we are this body mind, this being, the mind is also always translating the information that's coming from our physical senses constantly. So everything that we are not only thinking, but what we are seeing, what we are hearing, what we are tasting, what are we touching, all of these senses are nothing more than information coming from these physical senses being directed towards the mind, and the mind is translating all of that into images. So, I came to a realization not so long ago that as a human being, not only are we believing that we are this body mind, we are living in the mind's world. We are living in the world that the mind that we call the human mind, the ego, is creating and dialoguing and interpreting and assuming in every single moment. And of course, the human mind is nothing but a record of our history. It's everything we've experienced through perspective, of course. It's not absolute truth. It's always through the perspective of our own experience and everything we've learned, everything we've heard, everything that we've associated with is recorded in the human mind. But the human mind isn't only our thoughts. The human mind the mind itself is nothing but the action of thinking. But the human mind is actually one human mind. So the contents of the human mind is all human thought. And although we have a particular frequency, which means that we only have access to a particular range of thinking, these thoughts that we are being dished up in the moment, every moment, aren't our thoughts. They're recycled thoughts. They're the same thoughts we've probably been having day after day, but they're also the same thoughts that hundreds and thousands, probably millions of other people are having day after day as well. So, the whole idea of our thoughts, my thoughts, is absolutely ridiculous. Human mind is the whole of human consciousness. And we have this choice once we start to realize that we're not actually this human body mind, that we're actually the life that is giving life to this body and this mind, to actually move beyond the human mind, beyond the human experience, into divine consciousness, divine mind, as we align with our true self. This is something that we don't have to study to do. We're already this self. Anybody that's understood any part of the Bible, understands that we are born of God. Like a human can only give birth to a human, and a dog can only give birth to a dog. God can only give birth to God. Only we're disguised or living through this human form that we've started to believe is who we are. And because we believe we're this separate human being, we make ourselves vulnerable, because there's a whole world out there that appears to be inserting itself on our world, which is far from the truth. But, I kind of liken it to, where we are actors on a stage, and the world that we're experiencing is our stage. And we've forgotten that we're playing a role. And the mind is constantly trying to remind us and convince us that we are this person, this role, that we're not actually acting, but we're actually this person that we are role playing. And, it seems like the biggest joke to me. And it's been so convincing, of course, because, I've lived all of my life to this point believing, well, until the last couple of years, believing that I am actually this body and this mind. But, we say this is my body, this is my mind, these are my thoughts, which all denotes ownership. And when we start to realize that, we realize, hey, hang on, what is actually thinking? What is, if this body belongs to something, what is the me that owns the body? And I remember an experience when I was a child looking at my mum and thinking, oh my gosh, she's so old. She was probably about 40 at the time, and I'm way past that now, or the body is way past that now. But, I still feel like that same self that I was when I was looking at my mum and thinking how old she was. The true self hasn't really aged. Of course, the body does. The body has, and the mind starts to accumulate, more and more information, because we feel as a separate individual that, we've got to study and learn to become a better self, a better person. When in actuality, we are this God self. And when we stop playing this role of the mind, stop believing in the mind, and we wake up to the fact that, hey, hang on, I'm actually this essence of life itself. I am pure consciousness. I am pure love. I am God. I am source. And if I've got access to divine mind in this place of unity, in this place of alignment, then just as I've been reaching for thoughts from the human level of consciousness, I can also reach for thoughts from this divine level of consciousness. And actually, we don't reach for thoughts in that divine level. We receive thoughts in that divine level. In the human level, we think thoughts, or we assume we are thinking thoughts. We're receiving thoughts, but they're deliberately reached for as a human. apart from the dialoguing of every single day, when we are thinking, when we are trying to puzzle something, we are in the act of thinking. We're actually reaching for solutions, for answers, for thoughts. In the divine mind, we're actually receiving thoughts. And we can tell when we've shifted, obviously, by the way we feel, but also the level of thought. The quality of thought coming from the divine mind isn't concerned about what we're going to eat next, or how to make, the next pay packet, or whatever it might be. It's not about that. It's about love. It's about abundance. It's about fulfillment. It's about service. It's about being. It's about expressing the self. It's about being in the now and expressing fully who you truly are. And, I know for me, when I first began this search to myself, it all came about because I wanted to be the best self I could. And by being the best self I could, I knew I would live the best life that I could. So, life was really what was behind this whole search for self, as I'm sure it is for most of us. Once you get into the divine mind, all of the problems, the things that we were trying to heal from the human perspective are no longer players in the game. Yes, we are still in this life, but instead of being in the life of duality, we are living our own heaven on earth. And now we have access to all of the treasures of heaven. It's no longer about what I can get. It's about who I can be, who I am, realizing that I was created, I am created to be the perfect expression of myself. And in that perfect expression of self, I live my perfect heaven on earth. Have an absolutely beautiful day. Come into this moment of now. Just take a deep breath and allow yourself to melt into presence, that space of no thought, because it's between thoughts where we meet our true self, the essence of love and life. Biggest hugs.